Hey guys, welcome back to Sports Betting Truth, and we're back on the Sportsbook subreddit today with two posts that revolve around the same concept, and let's get started. So the first one comes from user Firefighter Short 6450, who asked, those who chase losses, have you ever successfully got your losses back, or did you lose all your money? And then the other post comes from user Knife in a Gunfight, asks, how do you deal with a hot hand or a big win? He says, I had a pretty nice week that culminated in a few big wins on Sunday. I basically tripled my bankroll over the past week. I'm going to interject with some commentary here and says your bankroll must have been pretty small if you tripled it. He wants to know, do you cash out? Do you ride the hot hand? Do you increase your unit bets? Do you keep going slow and steady, or do you take a break or breather? I'm just wondering how others deal with a hot streak. All right. So I'm going to address both of these. So the worst thing you can do when it comes to gambling of any sort, whether it be sports betting, casino, poker, is chase losses, go on a tilt. The way you don't chase losses is that you stick to a system. For me, that was always my models. If my models didn't say to bet it, I wouldn't bet it. If my models did say to bet it, then I would bet it. And not only do you stick to a system when it comes to determining which games to bet, you also stick to a system when it comes to how much to bet. For me, I kept it simple. Percentage of my bankroll. I usually did 1%. So if my bankroll is $10,000, it would be $100. I would stick to that, and I would not stray away from it. That's how you fall into problem gambling territory and start chasing losses, is by trying to increase your unit size to win back money you lost on a cold streak, or by getting greedy in the case of user Knife in a Gunfight. The one thing you don't want to do when you have a hot hand is think you have it all figured out. That's what a lot of people do. They're like, oh, I finally got sports betting all figured out. I'm a genius. I'm never going to lose again. This is going to last forever. And what a lot of people do is they'll try to ride that hot streak by saying, if I don't increase my bet size, I'm leaving money on the table. I've clearly got this all figured out. I'm winning, and I'm winning for a reason. It's because I'm a genius. So I need to increase my bet size, because otherwise I'm losing money because I'm not betting more because I have it all figured out. Do you see that feedback loop? Yeah, it kind of sounds like a loop, but that's what it is. One thing you don't want to do is say you have it all figured out and increase your bet size. You don't want to do that. Stay the course. Whether you're losing or winning or in between, stay the course. Stick to the script. Stick to your system. Stick to your bankroll management principles. Do not divert from them. The only time you should be increasing your bet sizes is if your bankroll increases with it. So if your bankroll goes from $10,000 to $20,000, then yeah, if you're using the 1% rule like me, you can increase your bet size from $100 to $200 because it's still 1%. Likewise, decreasing your bankroll size kind of follows the same principle. If your bankroll goes from $10,000 to $5,000, then your bet size is going to go from $100 to $50. But I think it's a much better idea to decrease your bet sizes than increase them. Like increasing them for no other reason at all because, oh, I'm on a hot streak, I always think it's a bad idea. But I don't think it's a bad idea to randomly decrease your bet sizes. I tell people not to bet at all. There's never a bad time ever, ever, ever to decrease your bet sizes, ever. Even if you have $1 million bankroll and you decrease your bet unit size from $100 to $10, there's never a bad time to do that. But in my opinion, unless you're increasing your bet size to go along with the percentage increase of your bankroll, then I think it's usually never a good idea to increase your bet sizes. But it's always a good idea to decrease your bet size. Always. There is never a bad time to do that. But what I'm trying to say here is that I've been in all these situations before. I've been on hot streaks, and I use this example all the time in my videos, and I'm going to keep using it. The most successful stretch of betting I've ever had was my college basketball live betting and second half betting model I had in 2021. In February, I was just killing it, like hitting 65% for like 3 straight weeks. And even I got undisciplined. I was like 6 or 7 days in a row, and a lot of it was on my live streams where I was hitting over 60% on this model. And so one night I was like, you know what? I'm leaving money on the table. This model is clearly good. It's clearly winning me a lot of money. And so what I did is that I increased my unit size from 1% to 2% on, like, I think it was a random Wednesday night in February. And that night I made 22 bets and I went 7 and 15. So I lost. Not only did I basically lose 8 bets, but since I doubled my unit size, it was the equivalent of losing like 16 bets. That I felt horrible, right? I felt horrible. And the feeling I have when I feel like I lost more money than I should have because I overbet my bankroll is a lot worse than the feeling I had on the days leading up to that, where I'm like, man, I should have been betting more. I've been leaving money on the table. It's always better to not overbet and win and say, oh man, I could have won more if I bet more. That feeling does not suck as bad as, oh man, I bet way too much and lost too much. Oh man, what did I do? I would much rather limit my downside than maximize my upside every time, every time. And that's no different. So when you have a hot hand, user knife in a gunfight, stay the course. Don't do anything different. Stick to your system. Same with the person asking about chasing losses. Don't do that. Stick to your system. Stay the course. But like I said, there is a caveat to that, and there's never a bad time to decrease your bet size, no matter what. There is never a single situation in the world where I'm saying where I think lowering your bet size is a bad idea. But I think almost every situation in the world where increasing your bet unit size is a bad idea. I hope you guys know what I'm saying. So let's see what the comments say. I'm gonna Obama you says 99% of gambling addicts quit exactly before they hit it big. Never give up. Okay, joke post. Usually the top comments is always a joke post. Calgary Capper 93 says, best way to chase is to keep the same unit size and live to bet another day. You can win your money back in the long run, but if you try to win it all back in one shot betting Chinese Ultimate Frisbee at 3 a.m., it won't work out. Speaking from a friend's experience. Livid Cartoonist 2403. I set myself to limit each year. 2 to 3K a year. Once it's gone, it's gone. I stop and wait for next year's college football season and try again. I've been doing it for 2 years now and I still have not made any money. Sounds about the case for most people. You're not alone. Little Red Riding's Loot says, I tried chasing my losses. I got back half. And when trying to get back the other half, I lost more than originally. If it's a large amount, let it go. It's absolutely right. So most people, are, telling people not to chase. I hate donkeys. People chase and win all the time. If they don't, no one would ever chase. Just to clarify, that doesn't mean it's not stupid. It's just the reality of it. Yeah, there's people that are successful chasing, and I think that's even worse. I think if you do successfully chase your losses, that's like the worst thing that can happen to you, because you're going to say, oh, I pulled it off this time. I'll be able to pull it off again. Terrible idea. I mean, I've been there. I've chased losses myself. I remember the first time I went up to WinStar Casino ever in my life, up in Oklahoma, when I was still in college at TCU. I remember I took my tax refund check and it was like $300, which was a lot of money for me at the time. I was a poor college student. And I sat down at the blackjack table and I was up quickly, I was up like $300 and it didn't take me very long to get to that point. And I remember texting some of my college football teammates being like, hey man, I'm up $300. Should I just go home and call it a day? And they're all like, yeah. And you know what I did? I didn't do that. I kept going. I pressed my luck, and next thing I know, I had lost my entire tax refund check, and I walked out of WinStar a loser. And, losing $300 as a college student in 2010, big deal. Big deal. And that's the only time I've ever chased losses in my life. I learned my lesson that night, and I've never done it again. Let's see what the comments on the hot hand post say. Top comment. Chip says, withdraw and keep the original deposit in the account. That's not a bad idea at all. Do not listen to Jedi 21 Knight that says start betting like a donkey. Trying to sort through all the joke posts in here. I nailed your sister says, no such thing as a hot hand. Each bet is a completely separate universal action. Stop thinking the world has a set of gambling scales. That is absolutely true. Orchid Careful says, if you're a sharp bettor, sometimes you get in a zone where your mind is just sharper and less distracted and you're having an awesome week or month across hundreds of bets. When you're in that zone, press it and get more action down. When you're slumping and less confident and second-guessing yourself, you should pull back because you're off your game. But this is really hard to quantify unless you're betting hundreds of tickets a week. I disagree with most of that post. Don't press and get more action down when you're on a hot streak. Don't do that. Stay the course. Stick to your system. When you're slumping and less confident, then yeah, pull back. There's never a bad time ever to pull back. That's like the universal truth of sports betting truth. There's never a bad time to pull back or not bet at all, ever. I Nailed Your Sister, who made the original good post, says, how do you know when the zone is off? Since a person is smart enough to know they're in the zone, they can figure out how to keep it going or start another zone. I think people want to believe they're smarter than others. They'll take credit for the random late game pick sixes or double point kicks as a sign of their ability to pick a winner. If they don't win, it's because their skills are flawed and it's because the league is rigged. There are two types of gamblers. One who thinks the screen above the roulette table that shows the past winning numbers means something, and the one who knows it's 100% universally meaningless. Orchid Careful says, I think if you've been at it long enough, you can tell how you're performing and carrying out your process. If you're sleeping enough, getting the right focus, making all the right decisions, stuff like that. I disagree, Orchid Careful. As someone who tried to make sports betting models work for myself for 10 years, there's never been a time where I've felt that my model is at a point where I could trust it, where I'm saying, all right, this model has it all figured out, I'm going to go all in on it. I never got to that point. Even that college basketball model that was very hot in 2021, even then I never trusted it. But there are definitely times where I've said this model is junk, it's worthless, I'm not going to bet with it. And I don't think I would, even if I got back into sports betting modeling, there would probably never be a time where I created a model where I'm like, this is a good one, I'm going to go with it, I'm going to ride it, I'm going to go all in with it. I never get to that point. You got to always exercise caution. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is no matter what, whether you're on a cold streak or a hot streak, stay the course. Be disciplined. Don't divert from that. Like that one user said, everything is a universal trial and everything is independent of itself. There's really no such thing as a hot hand or a cold streak. It just means that the luck is not on your side. Hope you guys understand that. Anyway, that wraps up for this video of Sports Betting Truth. Stay tuned to my channel, grift-free sports betting talk. No grifting here like the others. You've been watching Sports Betting Truth.